Touch is a nose boob to the palm of our hand. We can use this as a way to get our pup ready for training or as a way to redirect them away from something.
Yes, good boy. Get it. Sit. Down. Yes, good boy. Yes, good boy. Sit. Yes. Down. Yes. Sit. Yes, good boy. Touch. Oops, come on. Touch. Yes. Good boy, come back over here. Sit. Yes. Down. Yes.
For come when called, we'll call his name and then come. As soon as he turns to look at you, you'll mark yes and praise, praise, praise all the way to you and then reward with a treat once he gets to you. You can practice this in the yard by just calling him randomly, rewarding and letting him go back. You can also practice this in new locations using a long leash, like the front yard or at a park.
Kane, come. Yes, good boy. Wait.
Wait means stop and don't go any further.
Wait.
So when we say wait, we're drawing an imaginary line, and we're telling them that they cannot go any further. They can be in a sit, down, stand position, whatever they want, or even move around as long as it's not forward past that line. So this is a really helpful cue for things like at the front door or even on stairs so that you don't have your dog tripping you as you go up or down the stairs. If he starts to cross that line, you're just going to step back towards him like I did there and then reset and say it again. If you want him to cross that line that you drew, like he's going to come down the stairs with you, then you can use your word free to release him. Otherwise, you never need to release wait if you're not letting them cross that line. So in this instance, I'm going out on the front porch. I'm not going to let him cross that line. So I'm going to come back in, shut the door, and then I'm going to reward him. But I don't have to release him because I'm not allowing him to cross that line. You can build this into your daily practice. One is when you have a package out on the front porch, you're going to say, wait, go out, pick up the package, shut the door, and then reward him. Another way to build this practice in is every time you go out on a walk, you're going to ask him to wait at the door. And then when you're ready to let him through the door, you can say his release word, which is free, and then head out on your walk. Place means go there and stay there until released. His release word is free, just like with wait. There are a couple ways you can practice place. One way is the way you see here, which is what I would call a formal training session. So in this session, I am working on building duration between reinforcement as well as practicing mild distractions such as moving around, moving farther away, opening a door or a cabinet, making noise. You're just going to periodically come back and reward him as you do these things and build up until more and more time is in between each treat. If he gets up and you did not release him, you're going to send him right back, tell him to place again, and continue on. When you do this, make sure that you don't send him back and reward immediately. You want to send him back to place, wait a little bit, maybe take a few steps away, continue to practice a distraction, then come back and reward. And when you are done with that, then you're going to release him and use that word free so that he knows he is free to get up. You will continue to practice like this, adding more and more time between each treat until you no longer need them. Because Kane has a history of barking at kids, this is another way that you can practice place while adding in the distraction of a kid. This could even work with the other dogs since he has a tendency to bark at them when they have an item. So you're going to ask him to place, and then you can have the kids or the other dogs moving around and then periodically rewarding him. Every time he looks over at my son while my son is doing something, I am marking yes and rewarding him because he is choosing to not only stay on his place, but stay focused with me instead of what he has typically wanted to do, which is kind of run at him, barking and nipping. With multiple dogs in the house, especially with Kane having a propensity to bark at the other dogs when they have something, it would be a good idea to ask him and as well as the other dogs to place when they have things like bones. It keeps everybody separate so nothing happens, and it keeps Kane from barking and trying to take things from the other dogs if he knows he needs to stay on his bed with his item. Another way to practice place is in real context where you would want him to be on his place. For example, here I have him doing place while I cook dinner. You could also do this during a mealtime when you're eating. So I've asked him to place, and then periodically throughout while I'm cooking, I'm going to toss him a reward and then continue on. Just like we did with the formal training, if he gets up, I'm going to cue him back to place and then continue on periodically rewarding him. The big tip that I have when it comes to doing this during dinner time or in the kitchen is using something like string cheese versus a regular treat. Not only does it make it higher value, but it's something that you don't mind touching and then touching your own food. Practicing in these real situations helps build in that real life practice, but also the repetitiveness. So if you continue to practice in the same context regularly, what you'll find is that he will start to choose place during those contexts before you've even had a chance to tell him. So when I walk into the kitchen right now, Kane will often run straight to his bed because he knows that this is something we do in the kitchen. So you can build in good habits without having to tell your dog what to do all the time by continuing to practice in these situations regularly. Leave it means stop and back away from the thing you were heading towards. So you can practice this in kind of formal training sessions by dropping treats, cueing him to leave it once he backs away, mark yes, and reward. Just be prepared to block it if he does go for it. You can also challenge him by stepping farther away from it to see if he takes that opportunity to go for the item. In most real-time scenarios, you're not going to have the treat in hand to reward him, so you can do what's called a praise party to the treats. So as soon as he backs away, you'll mark yes and then praise him and run together to go get a treat.
Yes. Good boy.
Drop it means let go of the thing that is in your mouth. So here we're practicing with a bully stick. One thing to keep in mind when you're doing drop it in real time is making sure that you toss the treat away from the item when you reward him, or have him come to you to get that. That way he doesn't have a chance to grab the treat from you and then go right back for that item. Nice job. Drop it. Yes, good boy. All right, so I'm going out for a walk with Kane. We're going to kind of show you what we've been working on and talk about loose leash walking with Kane. So the first thing is loose leash walking is he can be right next to us, a little in front of us, as long as this leash has this dip in it and it's not pulling intense. So we're just looking for that loose leash. He does not have to be perfectly on the other side all the time. The big thing that we're doing to help teach him how to walk and what to do is by doing what I would call rewarding good choices. So that is when he's walking the way we would like, we're going to mark yes and reward him. Let's go, Kane. Yes, good boy. And you can either reward him by tossing the treat forward, yes, or dropping your hand at your side and having him come back to you. So in this case, he's got the tense leash, so we don't want to let him do this. So we're going to say, let's go. I don't mind if he wants to sniff, but he cannot be pulling like this away from us. He needs to still be walking on a loose leash. Yes. So when he's walking nicely like that, when the leash is loose, yes, we're going to mark and reward him for walking. The big thing is that we want to make sure we drop our hand at our side and reward him right here so that he learns all the good stuff happens right next to us. Yes! So even if he's in front of us like that and we mark, he still is going to have to come back to our side to receive that treat. We don't want to reach forward. Yes! Good boy. So he was in front, but he was still walking with the loose leash, so I want to catch those moments and reward it. So rewarding good choices is all about, yes, catching the good moments and letting him know, I like when you walk like that. The more you do that, the more he'll start walking in those specific areas. Yes. Good boy, right here. Good job. So it's going to encourage him to stay closer. Yes. Oops. If he starts to pull, we're just going to kind of take a little turn this way, cue him, and reset. Good boy. And then we can reward. Let's go. Good boy. So, yes. Yes. Good boy. So I'm going to reset him again because he started to pull forward. So we're going to just take a little turn. He is pulling a little bit more this morning. I think the rain has brought in some really good smells. Yes. And he's gotten a little bit more confident on our walks. So that's another thing to keep in mind with Kane when you're out on walks, is he definitely gets anxious about things, which is so true to being an Aussie. But cars, especially loud ones, people, bikes, dogs passing, yes. So just keep in mind that it's not always that he's trying to disobey or not do what you ask. It's just that he gets really anxious in these settings where there's a lot going on. Yes. And so we want to try to help him through as positively as possible, so that he doesn't continue to find those things scary and we don't end up with a reactive dog later. So when he does like he just did here, he's crossed over, we're going to grab the leash and we're going to encourage him back to the side we want him on. Good boy. Yes. And reward. This is why it's important to reward only with the hand that's closest to him. Yes. Because what we don't want is to be crossing our body to reward him. Because if we do that, you're going to have a dog that starts walking in front of you and crossing over more. So Kane is already prone to that. Being a little herding dog, he definitely wants to circle you and walk all over the place. But we want him to learn that we want him on kind of to one side of us. Yes, good boy. Nice job. So tossing the treat is just another way that you can reward him instead of handing it to him. Yes. It also kind of makes it a fun game where he gets to go kind of chase that treat down, and makes it more like a toy than just a boring treat being handed to you. Yes. Also, it's a little bit easier for you, just because he is so small. Bending down to him is a little bit harder than if he was a larger dog. So the rewarding good choices, right now what we're doing is rewarding 100% of the good choices. Yes. Good boy. We're rewarding every good choice he makes. And then the goal is that as he gets better and he's offering you those good choices more, you can start to wean down to 75%, 50%, 25%, and so on until you don't need it any longer. If at any point, yes, he's not walking the way you want, then that means we just probably weaned a little too fast and kind of backtrack to rewarding the good choices again a little bit more frequently. Yes. Good boy. Come on. So you're going to want to make sure you have lots of treats on hand right now. Yes. Good boy. So you can see he's gotten so much better. We started kind of our starting point with Kane. Yes. Was even just being in the driveway because he had a hard time focusing. He wasn't even eating the treats and he's very food motivated. So if he's not eating treats, it's a really good sign, especially a high value treat. It's a really good sign that he is overstimulated. Yes. He's overstimulated. He could be anxious, nervous about the situation. And so what we did is we just started in the driveway. Oops. Good boy. We just started in the driveway. Yes. Working on focus and attention and walking up and down the driveway. Yes. Until he could do those things, feel comfortable enough to eat, and not be kind of in that stressed state where he can't eat his food. Good boy. And then slowly worked our way farther and farther out on our walks. Yes. Good boy. This way. If we want to change directions, we're going to say this way. You can also use that when you do a little reset. Oh, you saw a bird, huh? Good boy. Yes, so we've got some people coming up, so it gets him a little bit, you can see a little bit more anxious. And he kind of stops wanting to take food, and that is coming from a anxiety standpoint. So, come here. So I'm going to pull him off to the side. Kane. Yes. And we're going to play the look at that game, if he will eat for me. If he won't, we're just going to kind of hang out. Come here. Come here, Kane. And kind of wait. Yes. Good boy. So this kind of shows you where he won't take food because he's kind of stressed, nervous about the situation, kind of wanting to see what's going on. So we're just going to let him watch. Yes. And then when he's done watching and he checks back in, we're going to give him food, and look at that, right? He was able to take food once they were passed. So it's important that we just give him those moments right now while he's still young and kind of learning about the world, and that we don't try to necessarily do too much work through it right now. If he'll play the look at that game with you, that would be awesome. And that is just simply he looks at the thing and then you mark and reward him, yes, for seeing the person dog. So we're pairing those things that make him a little uneasy, a little unsure, with something really good. Yes. If he can't eat like just now, then just focus on kind of keeping him off to the side, let him watch calmly, and then wait till he's done. He kind of checks back in with you and be ready to reward those check-ins. Yes. So this is kind of where we're at with him on his walks. We're rewarding those good choices. You can reset. We call it the circle method if you need to, if he starts to pull too much. He doesn't typically pull a whole lot. Like I said, I think the rain just brought in some really good smells, and he was a little extra this morning. But yes, as he gets better, you'll slowly wean down on those treats and how often you're rewarding good choices until he's just walking the way you want. And you can see that typically the second half of the walk, of course, is a lot easier. He's a little bit less energetic. He's settled in to the idea of being out in the neighborhood and all of that. So, but overall, he's made some really good progress from us just being in the driveway and him not be able to take food or work with me at all. So big progress for Kane. Yeah, that's a good boy. You are so smart, huh? Good job, Kane. Come on, let's go. When it comes to Kane barking at kids or dogs and kind of running and doing any of the nipping and hurting behavior as well as the barking, what you're going to do is practice calling him away from those moments. So you're going to call him and then reward. And he may go back several times just like you see here. And then I'm going to continue to just reward that. As you do this more often, what you'll start to see, and you'll see here shortly in these videos, is that he starts to head that way, but then he stops and remembers to turn back. And when he turns back to look at me, that's when I'm going to mark and reward him, because that's him thinking and noticing the pattern. That instead of going and barking at my son, in this case, that if he leaves him alone, comes back to me, he can get rewarded. So you're just going to continue to practice this until he stops doing it. Even though he was still doing it here and there with my son, he made huge improvements from those beginning days, as well as with the other dogs. When anytime a new dog came into a scenario, he kind of presented the same behaviors that he's doing here with my son. But as we practiced, he got better until he stopped doing it. Yes. Good boy. Set, go! Kane. Yes, good boy. That's a wrap on Kane's training.